What would be your playbook for helping teams get the most out of their reporting too? Like, what would be the best way to make sure they can either pace themselves, select the right solution, but really get the most out of it?
Yeah, so things like
Today's guest is Anna Sagan. She is a senior principal in solution engineering at Insightsoftware, where she works with finance and accounting leaders to simplify reporting, transform data into insights, and improve automation with Spreadsheet Server.
What do people misunderstand about the kind of reporting they can do with their ERP versus an accounting system compared to a specialized tool like Spreadsheet Server or BI tool?
these ERPs, they are very good at the general ledger. And then the reporting out of it sometimes can be second, right? And so this is our lane. This is our gold star. This is what we do. And so inherent in ERP systems, sometimes for folks can feel not as customizable. They can't get to all their data, and that is frustrating. And so this is something that really is such an easy implementation, all the easy things that can just be put right in there, connect right to the data, get to all the data, customizable, all of those things. You know, a friend of mine in high school, her dad, he always used to say, are you working smarter? Or are you working harder?
Where do you see reporting tools going in the next few years? And what should finance leaders be thinking about now to stay ahead?
Yeah, I mean, they definitely need to be, I would say it's knowing.
Today's episode is brought to you by Insightsoftware, which provides AI-powered financial reporting solutions that can save you from spreadsheet sludge and give you time back for weekend fun. With Spreadsheet Server, before they become problems and make faster, smarter decisions. Visit insightsoftware.com/reporting. I will drop the link in the show notes. Welcome back to the Diary of a CFO podcast, the podcast where finance leaders share the lessons, challenges, and wins that shape their careers as well as their organizations. I'm your host, Wassia Kamon, and today I'm super delighted to have with me Anna Sagan. Welcome to the show, Anna.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, I'm curious to hear about your story and what actually drew you into the software space.
Yeah, so my parents have always been in tech, so it's always been something that I've been around for a long time growing up. One of the massive computers growing up, since I was little. But, a friend of mine in high school, her dad was a very successful businessman out of Cincinnati. He always used to say, Ron Molnar, he used to say, are you working smarter? Or are you working harder? And so and that's always stayed with me. And I've always been one of those people that have said, how can we do this better? If I'm doing something, it's like, how can we do this better? How can we do this in a way that is not going to take so much time or be so frustrating or, all those things that take a long time to get to the end result, which is either an answer or something else. It's always kind of intrigued me or frustrated me enough to find out, how to do things better. And I love a puzzle. So, software is a bit like that.
Oh, wow. So you went to college for software, like when you went out at high school.
Actually got a business marketing degree. So
Oh,
got
wow.
a business marketing degree. As you can see, I'm a little chatty. So I got a business marketing degree and then just started, but then got my first job in sales within software after college. And then as any kind of life learner, like I feel like I am, is you just learn what you have to learn. So I dug in and I was in sales mostly, but I also wanted to understand it. And I wanted to understand what I was doing and understand the people I was talking to and all of that. So went back and took, additional accounting classes, additional SQL classes, things like
Wow.
that really helped me have a better conversation, understand what's happening behind the scenes. And that's always intrigued me too. So I think it's been doing that in the roles that I was in early on in my career, there weren't solutions engineers, which is what I do now. There were, you did soup to nuts, right? You did A to Z. You were calling and you were presenting and you were all the things, right? So you had to do it and you had to learn it, and that's what you did. So you just dig in and figure it out. And that kind of led me into the next software role, which is in that lane of solutions engineers and doing that. So that's what led me into that. And then from there, I had a great mentor, Sherry Puckett, and, kind of latched onto her and learned everything that she knew. She's an excellent CPA and technical wizard. So, again, you learn what you have to learn and you dig in and get the answers you need.
I really like your story here because you mentioned two things that I've really seen, with other people I have on my podcast is that lifelong learning, like learning what you have to do to really go to the next level, but also having the right mentor because there's not a lot of women in tech really in the segment that you're doing. So it's really impressive to hear that and how we helped you to where you are now. So thank you so much for sharing.
Yes, I've had some amazing women mentors in my life, and a lot of it started with my mom, who was in tech and all of that, and who
Wow.
had very successful and, traveled around the world and did all those things. And yeah.
That is so awesome. So where you are now, what's the main solution you are working on and what kind of problems does he help companies solve?
Yeah. So, companies are nowadays, especially, I mean, we live in a market or in a world really, that they need the answers now or yesterday even, right? So CFOs specifically, who I talk to around the country, they are looking for ways to help their people be more efficient, get to those answers quickly, and those answers being data-driven answers, right? Because they need to make decisions. Cash is king. They need to know what's going on instantly in their business. And so people, to get those answers, they need a better way or ways to get to the data, get to see what's happening instantly. So a spreadsheet server is what I work with today and we've worked with for quite a while. And that is what this does. This allows for accountants, finance, operations folks to see and get to all of their data, but see it and get to it in a place that they're comfortable and happy, which is Excel, and for most folks, who are, running companies, Excel is a little bit like a warm blanket, right? And so it helps. They're comfortable and happy there. And so this solution is in Excel and allows them to leverage skills they already have, but give them a quick and easy way to see their data, get to their data, drill down, see those answers, find out what's happening in a company in that real time type of space where they could get to answers quickly.
Wow. And I like the fact that you said Excel is comfortable. I see every now and then on LinkedIn, RIP Excel, Excel is dead. But when I think about software, we tend to go see the information somewhere and dump it in Excel and then slice and dice, right?
Absolutely. I mean, it's something where I always joke. I mean, look, a spreadsheet server runs right along any BI tool because you have different people in your organization. You have some that are going to maybe look at a certain view and be able to say, all right, it's here's the big picture, right? All of that. And then and then you have folks that then are doing that tactical data day to day. They do that in Excel. That happens in Excel. And I always joke, what's everyone's favorite BI tool is, how to get it, the one that gets it into Excel the fastest. And so that's what people are doing, especially those folks who are doing that work on a day-to-day basis. They're taking it into Excel, just like you said. They're slicing and dicing. They're doing all the things. So yeah. And there are a million things that can pull something into Excel. That's the easy part, getting data into Excel. It's what that individual does after it's in Excel. That is the part that takes a while and can be inefficient.
Yes.
And have more mistakes. All of that, that's the hard part. And that's what we automate. That is the part, that is what spreadsheet server that says, we got you. And we're going to make it easy for you to slice and dice, to get to the details, and not have to go to 16 places to get that. You are in Excel.
Yeah, so you don't need like 20,000 tabs that you have to copy paste and remember formula on tab number 105.
That's right. That's
Nice.
right. It's a single version of the truth. We've done the mapping. We're pre-configured to 140 plus general ledgers and ERPs. So we are very, very agnostic as far as that goes. And so we're able to really help a company who maybe feels like they're more boutique and has certain things, or companies that have data in different places. No problem. We can connect to multiple places simultaneously. Or maybe it's a company that's growing, right? They're growing and they have one general ledger, but they are acquiring companies, and that accounting group, right, has to it's like, it's great. Well, okay, so the vision and the mission, they're growing and acquiring more things. Those are all good things. But then the accounting people are like, whoa, okay, we got to consolidate. We got to find out what's going on. How are we going to get to the data? And all of that is something that we make a whole lot easier. We can be connected to multiple places at the same time using the same tool and process, right? So it's a familiar place that enables those folks that are doing that reporting and getting to that data. It enables them to be able to do that a lot quicker and easier.
Nice. And so you've implemented, in, a lot of reporting tools as well. So in your experience, what do people misunderstand about the kind of reporting they can do with their ERP versus or an accounting system compared to a specialized tool like spreadsheet server or BI tool? Because I feel like sometimes we think we're going to get all the answers from one place, and it's often not the case.
These ERPs, they have to have a reporting tool. They have to have something in-house, right, in their system. But that's not always what they're best at. Like they are very good at the general ledger. They're very good at organizing the data for the customer. They're very good at that being able to have that customer input, do all the things, manage all of their data. And then the reporting out of it sometimes can be second, right? And this is our lane. This is our gold star. This is what we do, right? So inherent in the ERP system, sometimes for folks can feel not as customizable. They can't get to all their data. They feel a little stuck. And then what happens then is that they take that whatever they get out of their ERP, they put it into Excel, and then they have to manipulate it even further from there because it's not giving them exactly what they want, right? Because they can't see it. It's not, a focus. So that is really where, it's something that, these companies pay a lot of money for, these ERP systems and then have trouble getting the data out, right? And that is frustrating. And so this is something that really is such a easy implementation, all the easy things that can just be put right in there, connect right to the data, get to all the data, customizable, all of those things.
Okay. And so could you share a story or an example where a team had like that aha moment after they made the switch? Because I feel like, again, and I've used different ERP before. I've been in Sage and SAP and so many ERP systems. And if you want an AR report, you get an accounts receivable report, but you cannot necessarily see the GL side. You have to go to another module to see it. But I can only imagine how having all these in one place is super helpful. So maybe you have a story or an example you want to share about someone that made a switch.
I think it goes back to, again, they implemented a new ERP, they were getting going, and that in itself is a lot of change management for an organization. So this organization was switching from one ERP to the other. And so, there was frustration there, and then having to learn one old reporting and another, and not being able to reconcile the data. It just caused a lot of problems. And so when they brought in Spreadsheet Server, they were able to connect to both their old system and their new system right next to each other in Excel, drill down into both balances, validate the balances. And then, so not only did it help in that change management process to make things a lot, easier, comfortable, but again, for those accountants and finance folks and operations folks who need to see that data, regardless of whether they're implementing an ERP or not, right? This made things just happier for them because they were they didn't have to go again to 16 places to get to that. So it helped a lot in that reconciliation process. And then in the new system, we have so many little ways that help that individual be able to see what all the accounts are, see what all these little things that help them. So it really helped them. They were able to, when they made the full move into the other ERP, they were already comfortable with the system and then keep going. And a lot of times what happens then, right, is people go through their career and go to the next company or whatever, and that next company doesn't have spreadsheet server. They're going, what is happening? And then that's how I reach out. I mean, I've had people come up to me at conferences and things like that. Like, they're going to have to pry this from my cold, dead hands if they ever take this away, So it's something that just, look, it's helpful, and it allows them to get home at the end of the day a little sooner, which is what, people like.
Yeah, what we all need to do. Yes.
Yeah.
Now, I've seen many cases where companies have the right tool, but they still don't use it to its full potential. It's almost like driving a Rolls Royce like a golf cart, right? So why do you think that happens a lot? Why do so many finance teams seem to underuse the technology that they have? Now, let's take a quick break to talk about a problem most finance teams face. You spend hours wrestling with data from different systems, building reports manually, and by the time you are done, the insights are already outdated. That's where today's sponsor comes in. Insightsoftware gives your finance team AI-powered tools that automatically pull data together and deliver super fast insight. Don't leave your team stuck in spreadsheets. Let them flex their talents as strategic advisors who guide smart business decisions. I'm hosting a webinar in partnership with Insightsoftware this October 15th. It's called Get Out of the Reporting Rut. So visit insightsoftware.com/October to register and transform how your finance team operates. I'll also drop the link in the show notes.
I think because in the beginning, when they first kind of look at the tool and deciding if it's something, it looks very flashy, like a Rolls Royce. It looks very flashy and all of that, right? And they're like, oh wow, this is so cool and whatever. And then they buy it, right? And but they don't realize how I'm sure, again, a Rolls Royce is just delivered, so kind of that comparison changes a bit there. But a lot of those types of tools can take 3 to 6 months to implement, a ton of resources on the IT side, on the accounting side, time away from, again, what they have to continue to do, their real jobs, right? So it's a huge project. And then on top of that, they have to learn something that maybe requires them to be technical or more technical than they are, unfamiliar, all of that. So all of that takes a long time. And then at the end of the day, if it becomes too hard or and they're like, I can't focus on that, I have to do my job, they end up not using it because they go back to what they were doing, even if that is, riding a bike to work, right? Versus a Rolls Royce, because it's something that they know how to do, right?
Wow.
So that's really, something that's frustrating, probably on both the user side, the operational and finance folks, and on the executive side that had to make the investment for something that's probably expensive, but then quite laborious to implement and to get that user adoption.
Okay. And so if a CFO or controller is listening today and is wondering whether they are getting the most out of their reporting setup. So hopefully they bought the Rolls Royce, they bought the Mercedes, and it's driving like one, not a golf cart or a bike. What do you think is the first question you want them to ask themselves? Like, how would they find out if they come in, they inherit a tool, they see how people are using it? What would be a good question or questions that you want them to start probing just to understand where they are in that setup?
Yeah. So things like, are you getting all the data now that you need? You know what I mean? Not just the ones, maybe what you had before, or what, are there things that you have is there data that you have trouble getting to now still? Right? What is the process? What are, the folks who are maybe providing that data? What does it look like under the covers for them? You know what I mean? Are they having to run around and still do a bunch of things, on top of this, right? So it's really, are you getting everything you need as quick as you want it? Are you able to, as you kind of drive the business and execute on the mission of the company and the vision of the company, is what you're doing now okay for that or not? Or is it only going to be more chaotic over the years? And so it's like, okay, you need to. So it's asking yourself, okay, is this what we have today? Is that giving me what I want? How hard is it still for my people that's, either giving me the information or myself, right, to do it? And are you still saying to yourself, how can we do this better? There's got to be a better way to do this, Are you doing something, but then not being able to get reports out to people? Are you, all these little things, but think about the things that you say, well, is there still frustrations?
Wow. And so what would be your playbook for helping teams get the most out of their reporting too? Like understanding that, any tool could take time away from what they're doing every day. So what would be the best way to make sure they can either pace themselves, select the right solution, but really get the most out of it?
I would say it's knowing the people and the resources and knowing like, okay, where's my people and my resources that are going to be working with anything on a day-to-day basis. Are they, more technically inclined? Are they not as technically inclined? Are they, where are they doing things on a day-to-day basis? Like, in the system, in Excel or all those things, understanding your people and what they want to do, because then, if they're doing it, they're happier, all those things. Did I answer that question? I'm sorry. I feel like I didn't quite answer it.
So you answered the part where, you just said, think about the resources and the people that you have, right? Because at the end of the day, and it absolutely makes sense because they're the one that will be using the tool. Now, assuming that you have the right people and you are able to see that you have the right mix, if they're technical, it's good, or maybe you will supplement with a consultant to help them out.
Yeah.
But how do you plan it to the end? Like, how do you manage the whole project till the end?
Well, it's check how are the folks learning the tool? Are they using the tool? Or whatever it is, right? Are they or are they reverting back to what they used to do? So it's understanding, are they adopting this solution as a solution? It's a solution, but they haven't quite fully adopted it. Then what's the point, right? So, and again, maybe the solution was adopted more in a different sector of the company or different roles in the company. But it's understanding, okay, here is what we saw for this solution, where we saw when we made the investment. This is the 3 or 4 things that we saw as that were going to help us, again, achieve our mission and achieve all that, right? And are the people doing that? Are those 3 or 4 things happening, right? And kind of have check-ins 3, maybe a month, 2 months, 3 months, or whatever that is, to be able to say, okay, is this being leveraged in the way that we originally saw, right? Because you don't want it to be renewal time for any software and then be like, oh, wait, you haven't used it in 6 months? What's happening, right? So, and that happens, right? So it's checking in to say, okay, are these 3 things, are we helping our people, our company, all of that? Are we doing those things? It's having a check-in to say, is this working or not? And then staying in touch with that provider of that solution to say, hey, look, this isn't working, because potentially they might have a fix, or they might be able to say, oh, well, this was missed during training. Let's get some more training in, or this was, or whatever it is. But staying in touch, you're checking those things and then staying in touch with the provider. Then that you can protect your investment as much as you want it to be protected.
I really like that approach, because you mentioned something that I feel like we often miss, is like, what are the 3 things we really wanted to do, and is it still delivering on those things? So that's really how you'll see if people are really adopting the solution. I really like the point about staying in touch as well with the provider and making sure we are using the technology and getting that ROI.
Yeah, because sometimes there's just a mismatch, right? There's or a miscommunication, and they're like, "Oh no, you can, it will, paint the walls for you. You just have to hit this button." No, I'm kidding, but so that kind of thing.
Okay, And so with AI and technology, evolving as fast as we've seen in the recent years, where do you see reporting tools going in the next few years? And what should finance leaders be thinking about now to stay ahead?
Yeah, I mean, they definitely need to be. AI is coming, whether we all want it to or not, and it's coming fast, and that's kind of true to form for AI, right? I mean, it can do some amazing things. It's pretty cool, and we have a lot of AI. That's where our focus is building in a lot more AI. Just again, increasing that efficiency for that user, right? I think AI is something that is obviously it's coming fast. So I think it's people understanding and taking kind of baby steps to get themselves more comfortable with it. And then as far as the role of, the reporting solutions or any software, it's making sure it's implemented in a way that people understand how to use it and understand. I know for myself, like when I've really dug into AI and the different tools and different things, it's understanding the prompts or the questions to ask and the things to do and understanding what you can ask. And you're like, you can't ask it that. Well, you probably can. You probably can. And it's going to help. So it's going to make things, I think make certain things even more efficient and all that. But I still believe that there has to be that human piece alongside of it.
Okay.
So if that individual, understands the AI, but then there has to be that piece with it. I still believe that there's instincts there that may not be in there with everything that comes out of AI.
Okay. And one thing I saw too, besides, I also agree that the human touch still needs to be involved. But I read a study recently that mentioned how a lot of AI implementation or AI adventures that people took didn't become successful. And one of the reasons was that the data was bad.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where there's different tools. It's something that you sort of have to, in some ways, like force yourself to kind of explore the different things. And that's where understanding the prompts and things like that, prompts mean the questions to ask it, and be able to read those answers and be like, does this make sense? Is this something that's true or not? Different AI tools, again, that's where you have to have that human brain to say, well, no, green isn't red, you know what I mean? Or whatever, right? Or whatever it is, So, I put something on my calendar every morning, like from 8 to 8:30 is,
Oh,
AI
wow.
training, where I just go out and I explore a little bit. Our amazing SE team here, led by Natasha. I mean, she put this whole checklist of things that we can kind of go and explore and learn. And it's something that we are actively doing all the time to make sure that we are able, we're up on it so that we're able to talk to our customers and those individuals even better as well. So,
Oh, that is so cool. So 30 minutes and it's all dedicated to AI. So what's the coolest thing you've done in AI so far? Because I tried to build a podcast manager kind of agent. It didn't work well. So I'm just curious now to hear what any AI adventure you mind sharing and what you found.
well, I'm going to share. I mean, I've done a lot of cool stuff. The coolest thing wasn't done by me. It was done by a colleague of mine. So, but as I'll say, like they were able to just dump in a transcript from like a Gong call or whatever. And then it picks up, Gong will do some of it, right? But then this took it a next level and be able to, and then built out a whole like process of the cost of inaction, right? And what that means to that company and how to be able then to deliver on the value from our side of things. And so it was very cool. And you just kind of say, hey, build this out or put this in a table and all this stuff. And so it did that. So it was pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I
Just based
cannot
on a few
imagine.
things. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing. I know we're
Sure.
getting toward the end, and I'm always curious to ask everyone, what's your favorite thing to do outside of work?
Oh gosh. Well, I have kids who are getting older and going off to college soon. So it's being with my family, playing tennis, pickleball with my mom, read. things like that. So, but spending as much time with my teenagers as much as they'll let me before they fly the nest. So,
Oh, that is awesome. Good for you. So I'm curious too. So me being with an accounting background, I feel like I see life from an accounting lens. Like everywhere I go, I wonder how much money are they making? What's the margin here? So you being in software, do you feel like it changes how you view the world outside of work?
well, sure, because again, you're always asking yourself again how to do things better, and I see that a lot when getting involved with the school, like with my kids' school and things like that, where you see stuff like what's happening, like why is this? It seems like things could be done a little
The
better, but
old website
yeah, and
that
you're like,
doesn't work.
"Mm," you know, and so but you sort of have to be careful about like saying something because then you're then in charge of that. So,
Very true.
so so it's like how much do I care? Really is
Okay.
what it is, But yeah, certainly. I mean, certainly it comes into play in everything that you do a little bit. So
Well, thank you so much for sharing, and thank you so much for being on the show, Anna. Thank you so much for being here.
thanks. Take care.
Thank you. You too. And that's it for today's episode of the Diary of a CFO. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to like, review, subscribe, and share with others. Our website is thediaryofacfo.com. That's where you can find all the episodes, access all the guest profiles, see their bios, and their social media links. It is also the place where you can apply to be a guest on the podcast and have information about how you can sponsor the show. As always, if there is any topic you would like me to cover in the future, just email me at ask@thediaryofacfo.com. See you soon.
Wondering if you're ready for the CFO role? Find out with a free CFO readiness scorecard at cfo.scoreapp.com.